Jesus, in fact, had said that if the miracles he had performed in these places had been performed in Tyre and Sidon, they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes. With this kind of adventure and spiritual confrontation and prophetic pronouncements, of course, everybody in town is talking about Jesus. Sick and infirmed and afflicted alike, all wanted to see him. Everybody wanted to be close to him, and many wanted to be healed by him. People had walked from the coastal cities of Tyre and Sidon to Galilee to hear his messages, but not everyone who would have liked to could make the journey. And Jesus decides to go to Tyre, grab some alone time with the disciples, get at least a minute of pause from all of the agitation he's had to confront and endure in Galilee. When he gets there, he enters a house and asks the owner to keep it quiet. No announcements. Please don't invite anybody over to the house. Let's just keep my presence in the city a secret if you can. That, however, was impossible. He had been spotted with the disciples upon his entrance into the city, and people traced and tracked his path to this particular house and started telling people Jesus is in town. And no sooner than he arrives in Tyre, this Syro-Phoenician woman comes to him. She too had recognized him, and she's not shy about her need. Lord, Son of David. That's a powerful statement of conviction there. She believed Jesus to, in fact, be the Messiah. She was being polite. She was being reverent, making her statement of spiritual belief. In essence, she's saying, I know who you are. I know you're both Lord and Messiah. I know you are the anointed one of God. And then following that, her request. It is urgent. It's an emergency. Her daughter has been possessed by a demon. She's suffering relentless mental torture, and this mother tells Jesus it's ripping her insides to not be able to do anything to help or to heal her daughter. And listen to Jesus's response to this bearing of the soul. This expression of helplessness, this feeling like she is at her wit's end. This is perhaps her last resort, and Jesus decides to take the moment to test and display not the presence of her faith, but her faith's endurance. Not only testing how long can it hang in there, but what kind of blows can it endure? Why does he do this? Because life is not just about delaying your progress. Life is about attempting to injure you and offend you and cripple you and damage you while you make attempts to make progress on your faith and with your faith and by your faith. It's one thing to hang in there with Jesus when it means simple delay. But can that delay also be matched with not being distracted with the blows you will have to take en route to perceived promises, the hits to your emotions, the pull on your resources, the demands on your schedule that are attached to your waiting? Can you even be offended and yet remain steadfast? I'll push it even further. Can you be offended, perceived by God, and hang in there? Well, this is what Jesus wants to test. He wants to stretch it in this woman and teach about his want for our spiritual maturation and the kind of muscle he wants our faith to develop. So he tests her faith. He stretches her faith. He offers what tempts her to be personally offended or tempted to feel like she's being dismissed or put off. Jesus' response sounds like this: stand in line. Take your turn. The children get fed first, and if there's any left, the dogs get it. And oh, this woman is sharp. She's grown from being tested and stretched like this. living and moving and matriculating in this mixed marketplace, one as a woman, and then having to deal with her daughter being spiritually targeted and spiritually attacked, until she as a mother has been able to mount a defense against these demons, but her daughter apparently has not been so resistant, and as a result she's home suffering, having been possessed. She hears Jesus, and it's as if she says, dog, huh? Yep, that's exactly what Jews think of us. I've heard that before, but I'm not going to allow it to rock my faith. I know you have a mission. I get it. Jews first, Gentiles to follow. I've been taught that. See it exercised around here all the time, but I tell you what, it doesn't change what I live spiritually convicted about. I know who you are. I know you're the Lord. I know you're the Messiah, and I know this is not you talking based on dismissal or disregard. That's not who you are, so you must be up to something. I don't understand it all, but I must be the character in a larger drama. And Jesus, if that's how we're going to play it, then I'll play my role. Yep, you're right about the children getting fed first, but don't even the dogs under the table get scraps dropped by the children? And when Jesus heard that, the text says he was impressed. He knew then her faith was not just present as long as there is no pressure, no problem. Her faith is not engaged only as long as there is no personal injury or insult. She's not a person who, when somebody she believes in does something confusing, that she then totally dismisses them. She doesn't let confusion or conflict or hurt or injury make her lose confidence in those she loves and believes in. It's as if Jesus, when interviewed about her response, would say this. He would say, I stretched her, I tested her, I hit her pretty hard. In fact, I just knew she was going to walk away. I knew she would be offended, but you know what? I was so impressed. She stayed right there. She stayed centered and assured and convicted and convinced, and she believed. And he says, you're right. Go home. And I love this line. Your daughter is no longer disturbed. The affliction is gone. And when that mother got back home, she found her daughter, text says, relaxed on the bed because the demons had been fully exorcised. This text is really an invitation to us all. Invitation to what, Pass? Not to expect Jesus to let us live with a faith he doesn't test sometimes, or a faith he doesn't stretch sometimes, or a faith he doesn't pull on, or a faith that is too fragile that it can't be put through some things for it to grow and deepen and become stronger. Why? Because life will offend you. Life will dismiss you. Life will disregard you. And if your faith is present but temperamental, present but attitudinal, if your faith is present but easily offended, then it won't produce healing in the possessed areas of your life. It will not stimulate growth where it takes you deeper rather than wider. You'll celebrate the birth of children, but then you'll lose your sense of purpose at the death of a loved one. You will shout when you succeed, but then can't utter the name of Jesus when failure grips your life. You will praise the Lord for great days and then barely talk to him on bad days. You'll give up on people when they can't give you energy they just don't have right now, or positivity they themselves right now are in search of. You'll stop voting because you find out people play with the vote, or you'll stop going to class because the teacher offended you based on your interpretation of the reading assignment. You'll turn your back on people that make big mistakes, like their mistake took away their salvation or stripped them of God's love. The Lord will use life to test you. Not just do you have the evidence of faith, but can it be stretched to test its capacity, its enduring capabilities, even to the degree that you can live confused about God's actions without ever doubting God's character. This text is about Jesus' engagement with a woman whose faith is tested, and she doesn't mind it. In fact, she's rewarded for staying centered while being stretched. And this is the kind of faith the Lord is trying to develop in us. This is the discernment you carry in your pains and struggles and the constant feeling like you're just being stretched, fighting everything pulling on you, everything expecting you to be always up and ready and positive and powerful. And the Lord seems dismissive and offensive with the words he says, the demands he yet requires. The Lord wants you to have a faith that is mature enough to stay confident in him beyond the confusion, beyond the disappointment, beyond the feeling of being dismissed, beyond feeling offended. This Syrophoenician woman teaches us because she doesn't let the type of tests determine her commitment to pass the tests. I'll say it again. She doesn't let the type of test determine her commitment to pass the test. Jesus pushes on her cultural buttons. Her having trafficked in prejudice, living amidst gender biases. He pushes on some really soft and sensitive areas here to see if she will abandon her faith in him and her mission of getting help for her daughter. It makes Jesus' message clear to me. The kind of test God allows in your life should not change what you believe about your God. It doesn't matter how you are being tested, your core convictions about God should remain steadfast. What you are chasing in life based on that belief in the Lord should not change just because of the severity of the test. It should not make you give up the things that press you to Jesus in the first place. You can't let the personal hits you take in life make you give up your chance to grow or be blessed or to enjoy a door he has opened or to take a path he has cleared. It's the argument, in my estimation, it's the argument of democracy taking place in our country. And I'll lift my assertion. I will not abandon American democracy because I don't like the hits I'm taking as an African-American man amidst the incredulities unfolding in our current politics. The vote to acquit the former president was offensive to my blackness. It was offensive to my right to vote. It was offensive to the truth. But I'm not moving to another country. I'm not giving up on my right to vote or desire to trash the fragile Constitution that didn't even have me or my kind in mind when it was written. I'm not giving up on any of that. I'm going to stay right here in Jesus' face, believing that he is who I know him to be. And I trust that if I keep offering him the persistence of my faith, he will not leave me disappointed. I believe that. And every conversation about where we are as a country that ignores the issues of race, every intent to vaccinate the country, white first and the rest follow, every critique by comrades who injure me and us who play on the same home team, none of it is going to make me give up this mission of asking Jesus to accomplish his will in my life among our people in this country. This has to be the strength and tenacity of your faith.